All right, what's going on YouTube? Welcome to Play by Play on Take Your Profit. This is where we review trades. We look at the structure with honesty and integrity, whether it's a losing trade or a winning trade, we still go over it. And today, I've got to be honest with y'all, I broke all of my rules. I broke all my rules. And let's try to see, the trades that I took, how it happened, and what I'm hoping to fix, especially preparing for the next trading day tomorrow. So first thing first, one of the setup I really like so much coming into the market is the inside day setup. And that is something that came up on Microsoft and also on IWM. So we are looking at the chart of Microsoft right now. This was the chart coming into the markets today, Tuesday, February 17, 2026. And if we go to our pre-market setup on these, the pre-market setup, as you could see, during the course of the pre-market, like we have over here, Microsoft came to the pre-market low, which is 397.49, and also the pre-market high was 402. So that's quite a wide range, about a $5 wide range. My goal was, of course, I'm going to be patient when we make a move towards the downside, because as we also know, the market has been bearish. If we make a move below the pre-market low, which would have showed us that we already broke the low of Friday, and now we're breaking pre-market low. So that looks like a solid trade. All right, let's go to the 2-minute chart, which is typically where I start my day from, and let's see the way that market's played out. Now, right at open, as you can see, we broke both pre-market low and previous day low. However, we rallied straight back to the 400 level, where I believe we're going to see some rejection. So after we saw that rejection, my eyes was on that play. And right here on this next candle is when I took my first trade. Now, is it the best of setup the way I like things? While this is a 2-2 reversal back to the downside, it's not an actionable candle. It wasn't an hammer, it wasn't a shooter, it wasn't like an inside candle with a small body. And I should have caught that, the market wasn't following through when it comes to direction, with the way that the market was moving. Right at this point, I believe I started, as you could see, my risk on that trade was $1.48. So which means $1.48 was my stop loss. I got into the trade, but it didn't really move. It didn't really move, in the direction that I want. I added some more over here. And right after that, it just started reversing against me. Now, the trade in itself, while it's not the perfect setup, the mistake that I made on this trade is actually two mistakes. Being that this was my first trade of the day, I oversized. It's just the honest truth. I oversized. I was a little bit excited. The emotions got in the way, right? I had about 20 contracts, for this trade in itself, which was a little bit too much for the first trade of the day, right? That's the first thing. And the second rule, that I broke in this trade was I was negotiating with my stop loss, right? My stop loss supposed to be right here. At I believe that is at 396.96. If this is my entry candle, that's supposed to be my stop loss candle. But geez, I negotiated the hell out of this trade. That's the honest truth. Now, here's the other thing. I think at some point, Microsoft decided to come down where it reduced the amount of my loss, right? It came down at some point, instead of just taking the loss as it is. I thought like, okay, it's about to start going my way. I didn't do that. So this is just one of those days where, on this trade, I really let emotions get out of the way. Emotions got the best of me, on this Microsoft trade. So that was the first trade. The second trade that I took, now, already down for the day. Now, a little bit of chasing, came into place when it comes to these. And that was on IWM. I remember on the daily, IWM also set up with an inside day, which is what we have over here. It was relatively strong. It had an inside day. I was looking for a move either above 265.17 or a move below 258.48, to either side of the trades. If we go back to that 2-minute chart here on IWM, and actually this trade on IWM, I think was also on a 2-minute chart. This was a positive trade, but if I was losing that much, which I think was over 50% on the first trade, out of emotional, respecting everything, I didn't make that much on this trade, and I was chasing. That's the honest truth. So let's hit the play button. So when IWM opened up, of course, it initially opened to the upside. It got smacked down. And then at some point, it started trending to the downside. The pre-market low on IWM was somewhere around here for today. There we go. So I'm going to pause it real quick. The pre-market low on IWM was around 261. So after we checked back down, I chased this move right here. This was the initial move that I got in. And I'm intentionally using the word chase because I was down for the day, and the emotions have gotten in the way. That's just the honest truth. The emotions have gotten in the way, at that point. And that's one of the things, to always keep emotions in check when trading. And I did not do a good job of that today. So I chased this move, which was below 260.72. I was targeting this trend line that I have down here, plus the 260 level being my first stop. And boom, it started going my way. But as you can see, because some part of today was choppy in the market, we have a 3 candle just reverse against that position, right there. And then the next candle went back up, then it rejected, and then we got another, another entry here. The truth about this trade is, while it was a positive trade, I still broke some rules, and the rules in this case was I was oversized. I'm even ashamed to, to accept how much size I had in this trade. So that's another thing that emotions got me doing today, in terms of not controlling my emotions. And of course, the last trade of the day was on Nvidia. I'm going to show that to us real quick. Let's just move this back. Let's come back again to the opening. Excuse me, by the way, I have a sore throat, but I still want to get this video out regardless. So it's not like, oh my God, he has a losing trade. That's why I didn't post anything. Lose or win, I'm still going to share my trades regardless of that. Now, the last trade was on Nvidia. The interesting thing on Nvidia though is Nvidia was bearish coming into today. It had a 3 candle on Thursday. Friday also went down. So I'm looking that, all right, we could break the weekly level, which would be a simultaneous break of the weekly and the daily level to the downside. So if we are to go to our 2-minute, which is where I'll typically start from, as you can see, Nvidia came to the pre-market low and it kind of bounced off of it at this point. On the 5-minute, let's click on play. Right? So Nvidia started out the gate, with a lot of energy, went all the way up, and then they sold it all the way back down, which also, just tells you the choppiness that was going on in the market. Today we broke the pre-market high, but we couldn't stay up there. However, as the day was going on, we could all see the strength in Nvidia, and when I saw that strength, that's when I decided to take a trade on Nvidia. Once again, full transparency. It was a chase. I was trying to make up for, the money that I've lost so far, in the day. At that point, I think I was down about 3K, for the day at that point, or 3K plus. Only God knows, I can't even remember the amount. And over here, we started pulling back to the ORBI on Nvidia. You could see all the lines that I have drawn during the course of the day. And we had this trend line that was over here. I got into the trade somewhere around there. And my goal at that point was, okay, I want to see Nvidia go try the 185 area. And hopefully, it can maybe get to the 200-day moving average that we have on the hourly chart. And that's exactly what Nvidia did. We went there, we tested. As you can see, the journey to get there wasn't easy, right? And if you are chasing, which I was doing, the emotions was just up and down, at that point. Now, and also because my emotions were so involved, after we broke that 200-day moving average, instead of looking at the chart again and then seeing the opportunity that the chart is actually presenting, right? I could have got back into a trade, but hey, I made some. I lost a lot relative to amount I made, down to 2,400 for the day, but still positive for the month as a whole. Give back some of the profit I've made for the month, and the goal is gonna come back tomorrow. See what the market gives, and we'll take it from there. Hey, if you stayed this long, thank you. Please like, share, and subscribe. If you have any question, put it in the comment, and I'll be more than happy, to answer those questions for you. Thank you. Peace.